All right, y'all. We got Danielle in the house. We're going to kick this thing off asking her three rapid fire questions. First thing that kind of comes to your mind, let us know. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your answers.
Uh-oh.
All right. So you are a lawyer. If you weren't a lawyer, what career would you be doing?
I think I would be an editor.
Okay.
Yeah, I like language and words.
Nice.
I really like words and I like to spell and I like grammar.
hmm
So I think I would be an editor.
Okay,
You
now I have a bonus question.
all right.
What would you be editing? Are we talking magazines? Are we talking papers? Like,
Something probably magazines.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
probably magazines. Definitely not fiction.
sure.
Yeah, I would say magazines. And I'm like even with like closed captions, I'm proofreading. I'm like, oh, they missed a comma or I mean it's bad. So I do enjoy that a lot.
Okay, okay, I like it. My mom was a business typing teacher,
Oh
so
my
she would
gosh.
always grade my papers and
Yep.
things of that nature. So shout out, moms. She did my books and all of those
So you
things.
have good grammar?
I do. Yeah, I do. I use some slang though, but
Well, yeah, of course.
yeah, but yeah, okay. I can dig that. Second question is, I know you're on social media a lot.
Mhm.
You have a fun personality. So, what are some of your favorite social media influencers or just pages that you like to, follow and laugh and like and all that stuff?
I love the work humor
Okay.
where it's just the work struggles.
Yes.
Anything with that, I'm good. Yeah, there's I think it's called Renshaw J. And there's a character named Chit, and he's just super quirky. It's kind of like Office vibes a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
But any funny clips of people just struggling at work,
Okay.
like, oh, it's Friday, they're dancing, anything like that. Yeah.
All right. No, I love it. I love your content, and a lot of it is kind of that work,
Right.
humor. So I like it. Last question. This is a fashion question. If you see, Danielle out and about doing her thing, I think you might like this. So heels or sneakers?
Heels.
Heels,
I
heels
would say heels.
always.
It's
Okay.
Friday,
It is.
so I'm in sneakers, but definitely heels. And I'm sure, and I think that's
Sure.
why
Yeah.
I got to feel like I'm a big tall attorney in heels. But yeah, definitely heels. Definitely heels.
Okay,
Yeah.
I figured it would be heels, and you be killing the game, doing your thing, but I
Always.
wanted to see just in case you wanted to give sneakers to, but I figured it would be heels. All right, you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm done messing with you.
I made it. I
Yes, you
survived.
did. And now let's get into it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Financial Seeds Podcast, where we believe that financial freedom is built one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Jim Dray Westbrook, and every week we are here to empower families to go from striving to thriving by having smart, practical money talks. On today's episode, we're going to talk about things that most people may say are boring, right? Insurance and, all of those things, emergency funds, that adulting 101. We need to talk about it because you are a human being and you want to make sure that yourself and your family are protected. So, yes, we are going to walk through what all of that stuff sounds like, what it really looks like by a professional. I know you hear me talk about this stuff all the time, but I have someone who could definitely walk us through from a legal perspective and really help us to set ourselves up financially. So I have my friend Danielle Miller in the house today to talk about again how we can do this thing. She is the owner of Miller Personal Injury Attorneys, and I can't wait to see what she has to say. So, Danielle, shout out to you. Thank you for being on the pod today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad we are covering this very important topic. I could go on for days,
Yes.
because it's something that people don't really either want to deal with or even know where to start. So
Exactly. So again, thank you for just making time out for yourself. And before we jump into all of that important stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do on the daily basis as an attorney here in Vegas.
So I'm a personal injury attorney. So I help people who have been injured either in car accidents or slip and falls, obviously through no fault of their own. So I help them get compensation for their medical bills, any lost wages, and any pain and suffering. I've been a litigator um, in one way or another over the last 22 years.
Nice.
I opened up my own firm 2 years ago to specifically represent personal injury victims. I worked at other firms before that doing the same thing, but I also spent a lot of time working for insurance companies and reading policies and understanding the importance of insurance. So it's definitely a topic I do like to geek out on.
And I love it because as I said in my intro, most people don't, right? They run away from these things that make sense, that are a big life-changing decisions, and we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves financially. So let's just kick it off like this, where I know that this matters, but can you, what do you think? Why so many families avoid planning for emergencies, or kind of this, oh, that's never gonna happen to me. Like, why do families kind of take that approach?
Because they don't think it's gonna happen to them. People don't realize that they're just as vulnerable as anybody else,
Yes.
and accidents do happen
Hmm.
often when you least expect it. And then it's also just the weight of having to look at everything, having to look at, okay, what are my finances like? How do I plan for protecting those in the event of an emergency or of an accident? So it's a lot. It is a lot of work, but it's worth the time because it pays off in the long run, protecting you and your family.
Yes, and I can only imagine, being married with children and maybe even being alone, as a single person to say like, yeah, I'm young, I look good, I feel good, and these things will just never happen to me, but they can and they will. You said accidents happen, and no one wants to feel like uh, I want to live my life just knowing that these accidents can, but the reality is that they can and they will.
They happen all the
Yeah.
time, regardless. I mean, my clients range from age from 19, to 74
Yeah.
in the sense of either a slip and fall or either mainly car accidents. But yeah, it can happen to anyone at any time, especially here in Vegas. I'm sure a lot of people drive down the street and they see accidents happening all the time, and that could easily be you. And I'm not trying to create a fear
Sure.
mentality. I just have
Sure.
to be very practical and realistic.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not really about fear, but it's the responsibility of just living and existing. And like you talk about driving, I mean that is a big
It
responsibility.
is.
I know a lot of the young people, if you will, don't drive. Like we
We
couldn't.
did.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like we couldn't wait to get a
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
license. Like that really meant something. To turn 15 to get a permit,
Mhm.
16 to maybe get your first car, whatever that was. But when you talked about driving, it made me think about the multiple accidents that I've been in. None were my fault. But like you said, just driving down the street, driving on the strip, making that mistake one time where it's like, who drives on the strip when you live here? I was, I think someone was visiting me for one of the first times. Somebody ran right into me, you know what I mean? So yes, you have to have these things we're talking about, insurance, because it's just kinda your responsibility as, an adult.
Absolutely.
So, talking about insurance, like, let's say I have a family, what role does insurance play in protecting my family financially?
I mean, it protects if you are you're the one who's bringing in the income, presumably you and the spouse. You wanna be able, if something were to happen to you, to make sure that there is either an emergency fund to cover that, or that you have some sort of disability insurance,
Mhm.
either through your work or even supplemental, disability insurance to help your family stay on their feet, to make sure the bills are paid, mortgage is paid if you are unable to work for any amount of time for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
So both things are important. And I would suggest an emergency fund, as well as, if you can, some sort of, supplemental disability insurance, which is really pretty inexpensive. You can get it $20 a month.
I like it. And, I think hearing that cost, like $20 a month, a lot of people probably think, well, I can't afford insurance, right? Like maybe I'm making minimum wage, or I'm not making, more money than than I'd like. But at $20 a month, I mean, most people are spending that, way over that, with streaming services a month. People, DoorDash,
Eating out. I was
Postmates,
gonna say
that type
eating
of thing.
out.
You know what I mean? So if you really, budget and maybe use some of the things that we talk about here on the pod, is you can afford insurance.
You absolutely can.
Right? It's just something that, it's a necessity. I think at a time when I was younger, I treated insurance like an option. Being young, being healthy, nothing's never happened to me, so it won't happen to me. But like you said, those accidents happen. Life can potentially change, and you don't want to, quote unquote, play yourself. You want to make sure you're covered.
Absolutely. And $20 a month for the type of protection that you can get is huge.
Yeah.
And $20 a month, if it could potentially supplement your monthly income for 6 months of being out of work,
Yeah.
is nothing.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
think about it that way.
Yeah. So we just want to encourage you all that, insurance protects yourself. But sometimes I know you feel like if I'm spending the $20, I want to see it. Right. I want to see this thing. So, sometimes you may not. This is more of an investment.
It is an investment.
And you will eventually, pay dividends on that. You will receive what you put in. So don't trip on if you're the person where I need to see my money kind of in motion. Just know that it is working for you and not against you.
And that's a good point. If you're one of those people, set it and forget it. Have it come out where you don't even notice,
Yeah.
where you're not having to do the job
Yeah.
putting away that $20. It just comes out. You're none the wiser. Eventually forget.
Yep.
And then you're protected without that mental block of, oh my gosh, I'm losing, I'm paying for this
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah. So if that's you, and I know I've been that person before, set it, forget it, put it on, automation.
Yeah, automation.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about that all the time here on the pod. So if that is you, we really want you to take that next step and set it, forget it, protect yourself so you and your family can have insurance. Buying a home is a big financial decision, and at Silver State Schools Credit Union, we're here to help make the numbers work. For a limited time, members can get $500 off closing costs, plus flexible loan options, personalized support, and guidance from application to closing. The right home is out there. We'll help you finance it. Learn more at silverstatecu.com/low rates. All right, Danielle, let's talk emergency funds. So I know on the pod we talk about emergency funds, but let's say that this is your very first time hearing us, seeing us. What is an emergency fund in, simple terms?
3 to 6 months of savings, enough to cover your expenses, bills, anything like that if you're unable to work or in the event of an emergency.
Okay. And, obviously, like you said, you got to eat, you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your bills, all that stuff. And let's say if I don't have anything, like I just got a job, I'm just trying to get my stuff together. Should I, what's your thoughts about, should I save for this emergency fund, or what should I do?
I say yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's overwhelming because people think, oh, I need to save 6 months. Don't look at it like that.
Mhm.
Look at it as just building the habit of, start small, $5 a month.
Yeah.
Or, $5 a week, whatever you can manage where it's not going to feel like you're living check to check. And you mentioned earlier, DoorDash. There's so many ways we don't even realize all the money that we spend just on things that are oftentimes unnecessary and splurges.
Yeah.
And that could be money that you put in an emergency fund. One less Amazon purchase, one less, Starbucks coffee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I love that. We go into classrooms K through 12 and talk about emergency funds all the time. And, just kind of the look of the students of like, like I don't have 3 to 6 months. Like I'm not even working right now. And we try to encourage them. You got to start somewhere.
Anywhere. Every little bit matters, definitely. And just seeing, it grow
Mhm.
is also very, rewarding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I remember when I started back in the day, like it is rewarding to see like, oh, maybe started with 100 and then maybe you get to 500 and then, oh, I got over 1,000. So this
Exactly.
thing continues to keep growing. And that's what we want you all to do. Uh, as we say a lot of times, like financial literacy, this is a lifelong journey. Like we're going to be learning new things all the time. So when we're talking about insurance, when we're talking about emergency funds, don't feel like you're left behind if you haven't started. Like you can start literally today, right now, after this episode, to make sure that you are doing the things that you can do to protect your family financially.
And I love that because also, your life changes. You have various changes in life
Yes.
when you're going to school, when you're
Yep.
not going to school.
Yep.
So it is lifelong,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So, we've been talking a lot about, what if, like these things might happen, they might not happen. And, my question to you is, let's say I can't do all of these things. And let's say that I'm a college student and I want to build it, but obviously I got classes. Maybe I'm an athlete. I got a lot going on. Like, what are maybe one or two essential things that I can have in place right now and maybe that builds as I, get older, get a family, that kind of thing.
I mean, I definitely think the emergency fund to the extent that you can. And I also I'm huge on car insurance. Having those protections
Mhm.
because especially with young people, they're not the most skilled drivers yet.
Sure. Mhm.
And it works both ways. And the thing is, if they don't have enough insurance and they hit someone, that could put their potential finances in ruin. They
Yeah.
could get a judgment against them.
Yeah.
It could ruin their credit,
Mhm.
and that impacts so much of their future from buying a home
Yeah.
to buying a car.
Yeah.
So making sure that you have your own insurance to cover you if you're at fault,
Mhm.
but then also having what's called uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, which helps if the driver who hits you doesn't have insurance,
Yeah.
which is common. I think last time I checked, and it's been a couple years, I think like 50% or maybe like 40% of drivers in Nevada don't have insurance in
Okay.
Vegas. So if someone hits you and they don't have
Yeah.
insurance and you don't have, uninsured motorist coverage, you gotta come out of pocket to get
Mhm.
your car fixed
Yeah.
usually. I mean, you'll have a deductible, but
Right.
then what if you're injured? Then what?
Mhm. Mhm.
And as a college student, especially if you're an athlete, I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And you may not have health insurance or
Mhm.
you may have limited health insurance. You can
Mhm.
have it through your parents. There's so many different factors,
Yeah.
but I would for sure just living in Vegas and the environment that we have with respect to how many accidents there are, making sure you have good, car insurance
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I remember one of the multiple accidents that I've been in is that someone did not have insurance. I learned that the hard way. Thankfully, I was blessed to walk away from that accident, but like it was a terrible accident. That person did not have insurance. They actually hit me and they hit someone else. Uh, Sounds like I'm making all this stuff up, but it's not. Like the story is wild. But yeah, I learned the hard way when I, kind of went through all that process, met someone, like you who was like, hey, personal injury attorney, kind of go through all that process. And it's just to find out that they were uninsured was just like, okay, yeah, maybe I should have had the insurance that you're exactly
Exactly.
talking about. So, I would just be really good. So, yeah, don't be me, like don't be the person who may not have all of the coverage, right? You may think that, oh, I only need this basic stuff that does protect you, but there are so many other insurances out there. We haven't even talked about like for those who are like renting,
Right.
like
Absolutely.
renters insurance, like those things matter, like For instance, I remember before I got married, my sister lived with me, and she would cook all the time. And when she was cooking, I wasn't home to help her out. She went to the bathroom, possibly maybe took a shower, kept the stove on in a small kitchen fire. And luckily, because we had renter's insurance, everything, filed a claim, you do all of that stuff. But there are a lot of young folks who like, I don't need that, the $25, I might as well save my money. But accidents happen, like you said. So you just want to make sure that you cover yourself holistically. Disability, you talked about health insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance. Like there's so many different things out there that, I'm glad that we're having a conversation about all of them.
Definitely. And that's a myth. People hear the term, oh, I have full coverage. Full coverage is not full coverage. It's
Yeah.
not what you think it is. Full
Mhm.
coverage is the bare minimum.
Yep.
And, as you mentioned with renter's insurance, I'm really glad that you brought that up too, because all of those insurances, now insurance companies, you bundle them and you get discount after discount
Yeah.
after discount with each insurance that you have.
Mhm.
So, shop around. I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, I told my niece, she said, oh gosh, I got to get off, my mom's car insurance. I said, honey, call them all. And she did. And she got the best insurance. I was in tears. I was like, I'm so proud of you. You listened to your aunt and you
Yeah.
did what you needed to do. And she
Mhm.
got a better deal on her own, even though
Nice.
she's younger than she did being on my sister's.
Nice.
So it just shop around and you'll be able to make it work.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, please take notes. I know that the world is moving and a lot of things are going on, especially for those that may be in the same position as your niece, where it's like, hey, you're out the house, you're on your own, you kind of need to figure things out, shop around. We tell our students that as well. That's probably one of our number one questions when we get asked, like, well, how do I do all of this stuff? Like, what did you do? It's like, hey, man, like that was a long time ago. But yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
didn't even have, I didn't have internet. We had a phone.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you
But
got to
yeah.
do a little bit of legwork.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
that's the reality.
you definitely do. Real quick, if you're listening to this and thinking, students need to hear this, we got you. At Silver State Schools Credit Union, we offer free K-12 financial literacy workshops and hands-on experiences that help students understand money in real life. Tap in with us online or inside the branch and bring it to your school. All right, let's get back into the episode. All right, Danielle, been a great conversation, but I know you got to go. So we're going to close it like this. This is our final segment, the Seeds of Wisdom. So, what's one thing, and I know you've given our families a lot to think about, but what's another gem, that lasting takeaway that you can tell families what they should be looking for, what they should do when it comes to this conversation about insurance?
Think of everything as protecting your future. And when I say your future, your personal future as well as your children's future. I mean, that's something huge to think about.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have to think about the what ifs. What happens if you are not here or something does happen to you? Nobody wants to think that, but that is the worst case.
Yeah.
And what would your children do, in that instance? You don't want them to be struggling.
No, you don't. And I think that's good, protection. We live in a world where we have to protect ourselves when it comes to, the accident. You have to drive defensively. Sometimes my wife gets on me for driving slow, if you will, where it's like, dude, I'm not driving slow. I'm driving defensively,
Right.
because you just don't know what's going to happen. So I think when it comes to that insurance piece, protecting yourself, protecting your family, protecting your legacy, that's what this thing is about. And it also reminds me of, just being prepared, right? We must be prepared, and preparation, is essentially like love in action. Like, you care about yourself, you love yourself, and you should also love others. So when we protect ourselves, prepare, and when we plan, we're taking care of everybody, right? Taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your friends, your family, humanity, the community. We want to make sure that everybody is good. Like, you don't want to live in this society where you have everything and nobody else around you has nothing. You want to make sure that you are selfless. And again, you're thinking about yourself, but then you're also thinking about everyone else holistically. So again, This episode is all about protection. We want to make sure that you are protected so that you can live life, right? So that you can have this fulfilled life, that you have everyone surrounding you, your loved ones, people that you want to do life with, and you're here experiencing it, right? So that's for all of us. And, I really want to say again, thank you for being here. I know we could keep this conversation going, and I would love to, but again, Danielle, thank you. I know you care about our community, care about, what you do. And any lasting words that you may have before we get up out of here?
I always tell, anyone, if you have questions about insurance, reach out to me.
Sure.
I'll be more than happy, to look at your insurance policy. I don't sell insurance. There's nothing in it for me. But I'm so fanatical about insurance because I have seen cases that are just so bad because there wasn't insurance, or cases that could have been worse, but there was insurance in play. So even, it's very easy. It doesn't take me long to look at somebody's policy and offer suggestions and input on where they can go and give them some good steps, like I did with my niece.
Yeah.
It's
I love
so
it.
easy.
I love it.
Yeah.
So again, if you all have any questions, you can holler at me. You can holler at Danielle, and we'll make sure that you are good to go. Well, this has been a great episode. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you support the Financial Seeds podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you're on social media, we want you to follow us. So please check out all of our social media accounts and share this with someone that, maybe you think they need to be insured. Maybe this is your household. Maybe this is someone that, your niece or your nephew is about to start driving. This is a great conversation that we just have to continue to have. Not a one-time conversation, but this is an ongoing conversation because, again, we want to make sure that everyone is covered and protected. So, as always, my name is Jim Dray. This is Danielle. We really, really appreciate you being here, and please continue to keep planting those seeds. Peace.
The Financial Seeds podcast is powered by Silver State Schools Credit Union, hosted by Jim Dray Westbrook, co-hosted by Brianna Chavez, produced by Jackie Martin, and recorded in the Scott A. Arkhills production studio. The Financial Seeds podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as financial, legal, or tax advice. All opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Silver State Schools Credit Union. Listeners should consult with a qualified financial professional for advice specific to their individual situation.